Started. My name is Laura Stewart, for those who I don't know. I am the Vice President of Community Engagement at the Forsyth County Chamber of Commerce. And we are so excited to offer you this opportunity today to really look into online education for those who are interested in retooling, adding a new skill set during this time, maybe even making a career pivot. We wanted to just kind of open up the discussion channels about that today. And we have an expert with us who's going to lead us through this. Verlinda Saunders is with us. She is the Community, Corporate, and Government Relations Specialist at the University of Phoenix. And she has tons and tons of resources to share with us today, as well as is a treasure trove of information for questions that you might have, particularly if you have never explored the idea of doing an online education or continuing education or looking into enhancing a specific career set. So with that, Verlinda, I'm going to turn things over to you. I will ask all of our guests during this time to please mute your microphone and your video. And we will have Q&A later in the session via our chat feature, which is up in the top right-hand corner of your screen. So for Linda, I will pass the mic to you. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. And thank you once again for having me today. As you stated, my name is Verlinda Saunders. So I'm with the University of Phoenix Atlanta campus. And the first thing I always get is, oh, wow, is there really a campus in Atlanta? Yes, there is. We're actually right off of Georgia 400, right off of Mount Vernon Highway. So University of Phoenix, we've been in the Atlanta area for actually several years. And the great part about it is that we cater to the Atlanta area, and also working adults are adults that are, as you mentioned, just trying to pivot and trying to do something different or new in their career and going after their aspirations. So what I'm going to sort of talk to you a little bit about today is just really the evolution of online education and why it's really important, especially now with everything that we're doing. If you don't know much about the University of Phoenix, we actually started off, originally we were founded in 1976 by Dr. John Sperling. And I always love to sort of share the University of Phoenix story so you really understand how we started and where we're coming from and why we matter still today. Dr. Sperling at the time, he came from, a poorer class family. And he went into the military, he served, he actually taught, actually collegiately. And eventually he decided that he saw the traditional education, he saw that there was a need for working class individuals to actually go back and actually further their education, because during that time there was no option for it. What I mean by that, let's say if you're a police officer, a first responder, you got into the workforce and you just started working. You had kids, you had families, you just had obligations, and a lot of times you could not take the traditional path of a traditional college student, going to school, taking classes, and it wasn't there for you. It wasn't available. So he was originally the pioneer of online education, because our first class, which most people don't know, consisted of 8 students, and they were actually first responders. And the reason why he reached out to them is, like I said, because they just really didn't have the time. They didn't have the schedule, the flexibility, where they could go to a traditional school in the morning time, sit in a class for a couple of hours, then go to the next class, because they had family, they had responsibilities. So that's really, really, really where we started from. And it's so funny in this day and age and everything that's happening right now. It's almost something that we're going back to. I was reading an article this morning talking about online education and how it is the wave of the future. So be it today or tomorrow, we'll talk a little bit more about where that is going and why is it so important for us to actually go ahead and start educating ourselves to be more competitive, to be more focused, and really just get those skill sets that we're looking for. But yeah, so that's exactly how we started. One of the things that Dr. Sperling actually came up with before him, there were no one else really doing this. He decided you know what? He has been teaching academia for years. And what he noticed is that most of the instructors there didn't have a lot of experience in what they were teaching. So he said, okay, what we're going to do, instead of having someone to come in and just talk to students, what about, since these students are already working and they're professionals and they're working adults, why not we take someone in the field that they're looking to go into, and we bring them into the classroom, and then they teach the students instead. So really, that's what we've been doing ever since. So if you take a look here, you'll see that our instructors on average have at least 20 years of real world experience. What that means is that they have been working in the markets that they're teaching. They're sharing information off of stories that they know. And it's a great experience, because you can ask, what is happening now? Especially with everything that's going on with COVID-19. How's your organization transitioning? How are they pivoting? So those things that you can take, no matter if you're a business owner and you're just looking to go and get more skills to help your business out, or whatever the case may be, it's asking them what's going on right now in real time that I can sort of take back and incorporate in the day-to-day things that I'm doing. And we try to keep a pretty small classroom ratio as well, which allows you to ask those questions and just make it a free-flowing conversation with us as well. As you can see, we have a lot of instructors who are not your typical everyday ideal of who you think a facilitator will be. We have, chief executive officers that teach for us, chief information officers, technology officers, nursing officers. So a lot of the individuals that you're going to get in the classroom are people who know what they're doing. A little bit with me, I actually am a graduate of the University of Phoenix as well. And I can tell you personally for myself, when I was in one of my classes, one of my instructors actually was an actual chief executive officer. He was a CEO of an organization, and he was teaching me in my class. So we were able to ask those questions, not just as saying, okay, I'm going to be an employee, but also, if I want to be an entrepreneur, and I am an entrepreneur, how were you able to grow your business? What did you do? What were those steps that you took? So those are just very important to us, and those are some of the things that we really, really, truly value for education. Now, along with that, I know the biggest question, no matter what school that you're looking at, if you're looking to take it online, go on campus, whatever the case may be, you always want to make sure it's a school accredited. We have had regional accreditation. We've been with the Higher Learning Commission since 1978. It's been continuous. We have that regional institutional accreditation, but along with that, we do also have programmatic accreditation. So depending on the different programs that you go into, some of those programs also have accreditation also on top of that. So those are just key things and functions you want to look for as you're making that pivot, as you're sort of changing the tide to say, okay, is this going to be really, truly a good fit for me? The biggest thing with us is that we understand and we were built for working adults. That's what we've been doing since our creation. So we understand exactly some of the things that are needed to make sure that you are successful in the program. What I mean by that is, no matter if you are a first-time student and you've never been to college before, that's okay. One of the big things about the University of Phoenix, we are an open enrollment university. What that simply means is that as long as you have your GED, a high school diploma, or an equivalent of those things, then you meet our admissions requirement. So you don't have to worry about, do I need a test? Do I have to do the GRE? Do I have to do this? You don't have to worry about those things with us, because we understand we value your experience. We value what you're already bringing to the table. And that's one of the things that we started out doing, and we pioneered that practice of looking at experience. And we say, okay, yeah, maybe you didn't go to college right out of high school, and that's okay. But you have experience. You have things that actually matter. and that are relevant for us because you're trying to move forward. So one of the things that we do, you could choose all three with us. You don't have to put your family to the side or work, if you are looking to go to school and make that and make a choice of doing so. One of the things that we offer, which you may not be aware of, we offer education in multiple online formats. So let's say if you are only looking for a single course and you say, you know what, I'm not really interested in, taking an entire degree. I'm not interested in that. But what I'm really interested in is learning maybe more about accounting. That's fine. Well, you could just take one class with us. It does not have to be a full degree program. So we do offer single courses. Outside of that, we do have professional development that's available, as well as certificate programs. Now, our certificate programs, I love those because those are sort of quick and to the point. So, for instance, if you are already an entrepreneur or you're looking to get into entrepreneurship, we do have some programs where you could just get a small certificate, it's a couple of classes that you take that pretty much give you the groundwork, the basics that you need, and the foundation, honestly, that you need to help you with your success throughout your business. Along with that, we have other areas which are great. We do also offer your associate's degree, which your associate's degree is usually that 2-year degree that, some people just want to start off there, see how it goes. And then, maybe you're not really sure which area you want to go into, but you want a degree. And then that way you can sort of get your feet wet as you move forward. Of course, we offer a bachelor's degree, which is a full 4-year degree. One of the things that I really love about our certificate programs, as well as our associate's degrees, is that they do go into the bachelor's degree. So let's say you started off with us and you were looking at your program and you said, okay, you know what? I took these classes previously at another school, or maybe you have some experience. You may be able to actually go ahead and jump right into the bachelor's degree. That's one of the things that we provide you an enrollment advisor for, because the enrollment advisor that you get with us, they actually will speak to you and sort of walk you through, hey, these are your options. You don't need to know these are your options. This is what you have. You just have to let them know, what is it that you're trying to achieve? What are you trying to accomplish? Once you know what you're trying to achieve or accomplish, then we can help you put all the other pieces together. So you don't need to know every single program. We'll help you with that. Outside of that, if you already have your bachelor's degree, we do offer a master's degree, as well as we do offer doctoral degrees, which some people actually, may not know. So we go up the entire chain from graduate and undergraduate degrees, and just making sure it is the right fit for you. I really love the fact that we pride ourselves in talking to you and saying, what is it that you're on? What goal is it that you're trying to reach? And that's sort of where we're starting. And if we can't help you reach that goal, we'll say it. We'll say, okay, look, these programs may not fit you. Ultimately, it's really up to you. So if you're just looking to pick up a skill set or do something new and different or add on to what you already have, that these are the different options that you have available to you. But outside of that, if you're looking at really doing anything an undergraduate degree with us, and when I say that, towards like an associate's or a bachelor's degree, what we do, we take into consideration your experience. And what we call it's called prior learning assessment, or PLA. What that does, it could give you credit towards your degree for your professional training or even your life experience. And the great part about that, it's a great way of helping you to graduate faster as well as save on tuition. The reason why I mention that is really in these times with the evolution of education, before there wasn't really an outlet for you to use your personal experience to earn credit towards your degree. So University of Phoenix created a program where we say, okay, look, we know you've been working. We know that you did a bunch of trainings at your organization. And it could have been a lot of things that you've done that HR took account of. Maybe you received a certificate for, or maybe as an entrepreneur, you went to a conference or you did something that was separate, and you got credentials showing that I completed this training or I completed this focus area, that's fine. You can send it in. We can evaluate it for you, and then we can let you know if it goes towards your program. Once again, it goes towards any undergraduate degree. And a couple of things that we take a look at, we'll look at the process with us. We'll look at, what you've done before. So if you have attended college previously in the past, and maybe it's been 20 years, and maybe you say you only took 1 or 2 classes. Well, what we do, we take a look and we evaluate all your credits first that you've already completed, because we want to see if there's anything there that we could give you credit for, and that's what the evaluation is for. Once we do the evaluation, and then you start classes with us, then you can also incorporate the prior learning assessment where you're using your experience and you're bringing that in to say, okay, is this going to be a good fit? How many more credits can I get? I want to finish this pretty quickly, and I want to make sure that I'm jumping right into the content. And that's one of the things that we do. And the biggest thing is that you also are able to control the way you take classes. What I mean by that, really our classes are 5 to 6 weeks apiece. Depending on the program and the subject that you're going into, it's really flexible. What I mean is that you have that one class at a time that you're doing. You'll know exactly when the class starts, and you're going to know when the class ends. Within that class, since you have the set dates, you're also going to know the topics. So we give you everything up front. So there's no waiting. If you've ever done, traditionally attended a traditional school, you get a syllabus and you're going to say, okay, I know this is due on this date and that date. That's exactly what you see with us. From day one, you're going to know what's due, when it's due, how to complete it. Your instructor, your facilitator will be there along the way. So if you have any questions, you'll be able to ask. You will have to go in class, weekly as well. With our online classes, you'll be in there. You'll have your assignments. You'll be able to work on them. You'll have reading, because we're more of a reading and writing based institution. So there's not a live session. As far as when I say live, there's not a set time you have to be online with us. So that may be a little bit different than what you're used to. Traditionally, you may say, oh, this class runs from, 8 to 10, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We don't work that way. We say, okay, look, this is what you need to do this week. We understand that you have other stuff going on. You just have to get it done by the due date your instructor provides you. So what that allows you to do is to go out, to do what you have to do, take care of your obligations, along with fitting school into your day-to-day. So we allow you to schedule your times that you're going to be online. We'll allow you to juggle your schedule. So if you say, hey, I'm going to be online at 5 p.m. and that's going to be my schedule every day, if that doesn't happen, that's fine with us, as long as you get everything accomplished and turned in by that due date. That's really, really what the goal is with the University of Phoenix and how we structure our online classes. And throughout all of that, if you ever get stuck on anything, along with your facilitator, we do offer tutoring services that are included as a service to you. One of the things about being here in Atlanta, at the Atlanta campus, I know right now we're closed due to COVID-19 at the campus, but traditionally and still right now, we've been able to pivot. So if we have local students that do need help in any area, in any class that they're taking, you can reach out to us, let us know, and we will actually assign a tutor to you. That tutor will actually be able to go over everything with you one-on-one. If you've taken the time to get with your instructor and your facilitator and you still say, I'm still not grasping this information, because once again, remember, we started with working adults, so we understand. And we understand our average student hasn't been to school in a while, because our average student is not right out of high school. So since we understand that, we've put those tools in place. Now, once we get through COVID-19, outside of meeting with a tutor, you did have the option to also meet with a tutor in person, because you are here in the Atlanta area. So we have that option, but once again, we pivoted that option to more of, your meeting space will be virtual. You'll still have virtual meeting. You can still see your tutor, but of course it'll be online and you guys can communicate. You can ask questions. And also there's not a limit to it. If you need to follow up later on, if there's something else you need to talk about, we do allow that. And once again, that's not anything that you pay additional for with us. It's just one of those services that's included within your, because you are a student with us. Another thing with online education, what we have done, how we have changed the industry of online education outside of offering the tutoring services. I know a lot of times when you're going back to school, you're saying, okay, how, I have to write a paper. I don't even know where to begin. We do have writing services that are available to you. Those classes that, you've probably been avoiding forever and ever. Maybe it was a math class or something of that nature. We outside of the tutoring, I like to say, with us, once you get through that class, remember, since it's a 5 to 6 week course, think about it this way. If you can make it that month and a half in that class, finish that class, complete it, you never have to do it again. And if you could say, okay, I've been avoiding this subject for forever, but if I can make it for those 5 weeks, finish that class, pass it, then you never have to do it again, and then you could keep moving on. And it's no longer, it no longer will be a hurdle or a roadblock for you. I've been with the university, and I've seen a lot of students who come in and they say, oh, I'm nervous about, and a lot of times, sometimes it'll be math or something of that nature where, maybe back in the day you weren't that good at it. And they're surprised, really, when they come. And I'm like, well, think about it. You're older. You have experienced life. Things have happened in your life. And you probably have kids that you've helped out in classes at this point. And you're looking and you're saying, oh, okay, it's really not as bad as I thought it was when I took it. Which is something that, we really, really help you with. And if it is something that, you're nervous about, once again, that's something that you will talk to your enrollment advisor about through this process, because we know, okay, this is what we need to set up and set up for you throughout this time with us. Another thing with us is if it does become, too much to juggle for you in between, we do allow you to schedule breaks between courses. That's one thing that I think, flexibility is key no matter where you go and how you're thinking about this, is because if there's a time of the year where hey, this is my busy season at work or with my organization, this is where I know I need to sort of sit down and really just focus in. Well, that's okay. You can ask for a break with us. You let us know when you're coming back. It's all about communication. As long as you communicate with us, we can show you, okay, this is how you can do it. This is the next class. This is how we can make it work. And if we can't make it work, we can tell you that too. But it's all about communicating. And remember, because we cater towards adults, we have a lot of things in place. Now, along with that, I know the biggest thing when you're looking at any school, anywhere, besides, what type of time will I need to be an online student? And we sort of talked about that and making sure, you set your time around what you need to complete. The biggest thing is tuition. What the University of Phoenix has done, we've taken a stance and said, we're going to offer you a tuition guarantee. Literally what that means is that we lock in your tuition at one price. So there are no hidden fees. There's no surprise at the end or at the beginning of your program. So from the beginning to the end of your program, you will know what I'm paying. This is how much it's going to cost me. I've taken the time here to also link right over here so you can actually see what you're looking at with us as well. So one of the biggest things with our tuition, since we do lock it in and it will be available to you and available for you to see right up front, we do charge, of course, for tuition. These are our prices right here. Our tuition is per credit hour, and I'll go back to when I mentioned about a lot of the certificates, any undergraduate program from an associate's to a bachelor's degree, all of those are going to be the same price per credit. Another thing is if you're looking at a master's degree, same thing. This is going to be $6.98 per credit, and then you have your doctoral degree. So these are our prices as of today. So what that looks like when we have a tuition guarantee is no matter if you start when you call and enroll with us, what you do, you start off, you'll be locked into whatever price you have registered for, and then once that happens and you start class, no matter if you're doing your bachelor's degree and you take a break and it takes you, 3 years or so, that's fine. You'll come back and you still have that price. But this is what I also like. A lot of the times people ask us, okay, how do you compare? It's always, are you expensive? We're not we're definitely not the cheapest and we're definitely not the most expensive. We're somewhere in the middle of all of that. And what you'll see right here with us is that here's some of the information for our competitors and how we sort of stack up against other universities as well. So I show you this because this is based off of our bachelor's. If you're doing a bachelor's degree program, it shows you per cost. This is what you're looking for the tuition. The total amount of credits for the program, this is our average program for us, is usually 120 credits for a bachelor's with us. And our classes, as I mentioned, are 5-week courses. And you pay one fee per course for your books, basically, are included with that. And that's the one fee you pay for that. It's called a resource fee. And then you lock in our tuition guarantee. So this is a chart I love to show, just so you could get an idea of sort of, what you're looking at and to understand how we fit into your overall budget and what you're looking at ultimately to do if you were to choose the University of Phoenix compared to some of our competitors. And we could go a little bit more into that as we go on. And I want to make sure we have some time to answer questions and go over that with you. But that's just to give you an idea of it. Now, along with that, with University of Phoenix, once you're with us, we decided, okay, we understand when you decide to go back to school, it's a commitment. We understand that. So at the end of the day, we want to let you know over 1 million alumni have chosen the University of Phoenix since 1976. And we are very proud of our alumni, and we are very proud of our graduates who have taken that step, just like you, who are working individuals, are looking for work, or who are pivoting, who's doing a career change, who's shifting, who's saying, okay, maybe I had a business that was running, but now I see that I want to move into IT because IT is in the moving field. Or maybe you want to change over into healthcare, but you don't know how to quite do that. So these are over 1 million alumni who have made that pivot, who have made that shift to say, okay, look, University of Phoenix, I choose you. And we're able to not only attend, but also graduate. So, if anything, that definitely speaks volumes of people who are actually completing the program. Along with that, along the way, if you want some help and you're not really sure which direction to go and you're in classes, we do offer career coaches along the way that you could talk to at any time. So our career services is a great department. It's a great resource available to you during this time. They help with things like resumes. If you're not really sure, hey, which way I need to go, what should I be put on my resume? What type of resume should I be using? What, resumes are employers really taking a look at, or even on the back end, you're an entrepreneur and saying, what things should I be looking for and highlights should I pick out? Another thing is we allow you access to our alumni directory. What that's for, it's for alumni who are open to being contacted by individuals that are a part of the, that newly or a part of the University of Phoenix family who say, okay, I'm in the Atlanta area. You're in the Atlanta area. You're already maybe in the IT field, and I'm trying to transition to the IT. Can you tell me more about what's happening here in Atlanta? That's where the networking and that over 1 million alumni really that value shows, because you can go back and find someone in your area to say, okay, talk to me about what's happening, give me some advice, give me some pointers, maybe point me in the right direction. So between the career coaches and our alumni, these are great resources that you could use. Along with that, we have our alumni mentor program. Same thing. So whatever area you select, if you would like a mentor, we provide you with a mentor through that program where you could actually talk to them, and same thing, ask them questions about their experience and just get recommendations for yourself. But the biggest thing is that we also link you have career opportunities. Now understand, we do not guarantee employment or anything of that nature. However, what we do, we link you to organizations and companies who are actively hiring. So you'll have access to this as a student. And as soon as you actually are with us, you can actually start building your profile, you can apply, and you can take the initiatives that you need. And I strongly always recommend that. So that's not something you have to wait for until you graduate, which may be a little bit different than some other, some other institutions. With us, you have access to all of these services from day one with us. Along with that, really, I want to speak in reference to what the University of Phoenix is doing during these times. As I sort of taking you on a journey of how online education has really expanded. When we started and Dr. Sperlin, he came out with University of Phoenix, no one was doing this. It was unheard of. Actually, he got a lot of ridicule for it. People really didn't think it was valuable and didn't understand it or didn't understand the need. But today, as we look around in 2020, when you have the entire country to switch kids who are, K through 12 over to online education because you cannot go in. So this is not, to me, I feel like this is going to be, a norm for a while that people will have to get used to. As the years have passed on, you have traditional universities as well as non-traditional universities now using online education. Now, everyone may do it differently, but the thing is, University of Phoenix, we know what worked. That's why we have had so many successful graduates from it. When COVID-19 hit, we were able to pivot. At the time, we had some students who were actually on campus taking classes as well, and they were able to transition to online, as well as our online students. They weren't affected because they were already online. If they didn't have internet services, things of that nature, we were working with them. So we are known to work with you and really work through this process. One of the biggest things that we've done, this is something you have access to today, not even being a student. We provide updates about how we're responding to COVID and what we're doing right now. And we actually have helpful webinars that we have created. And these webinars are free. They're really quick, short to the point, just talking about different topics that we all are going through. If you have kids, it talks about, stress of, now you have your family at home as well as you're trying to work, and you have those other priorities, and just really coming together and helpful tools to help you out during this time. Another thing that the University of Phoenix we took a stance on is with K through 12 educators quickly having to transition to teaching online throughout the United States, we decided to provide them with free continuing education courses, and they were all geared towards social, anything dealing with the internet, social media, teaching online, and we allowed them to actually sign up and register and complete those courses with us. We had an overwhelming response to it when we first came out with it. The classes filled up rather quickly because of it, because teachers, they really needed that. And if you could understand from the teacher's perspective of them needing, okay, how am I going to do online? What am I going to do? That's why we're bringing it also to students, because we know what works. We know what's not going to work, and we can show you how do you go from never ever, possibly never ever even going to college or even thinking of it as an option, to now today, where you're saying, okay, I see the market shifting. I see some organizations and businesses will not survive, unfortunately, and some will. Some, and those that will, how are you going to thrive? How are you going to make it through? It's about adding those skill sets, adding those resources, and bringing them in, and then actually reshaping and reformatting and pivoting yourself in another direction to say, okay, look, I see where the market is heading. I don't know much about data analytics, but I know I hear everyone talking about it. What is it? Well, that's fine. Well, come and do a analytics certificate with us. You don't have to do a full degree, but you could do a certificate, and that way you could understand the fundamentals and the foundations of it and how it works. And then you could take it back to your business and say, okay, look, this is what we're going to implement now based off of actual data that I know how to pull, I know how to research, I know where to go to get it, and I know how to incorporate it into my business, so that way we can move forward. Especially during this time of budget cuts and people pulling back, I know a lot of times, especially when running a business, you have to do those things yourself. So the question is, okay, where do I need to go? How do I need to do this? And really, in getting that feedback from instructors who are already working in it, it's so helpful, and it gives you that extra push and one step above, to actually just to help you to keep going and to keep working or pivoting, like I said, into an entirely different career. I want to make sure that we're leaving enough time too, so we can talk and answer your questions in regards to just online education. How is it working? What happens? This is a time of change, as we all know. A lot of things, no one has ever seen before in our lifetime or our generation. And what we're doing is helping to say, okay, if you're looking to pivot, this is how you can do it. This is how you can make it happen. And, if it's a right fit for you, one of the things that you can do, what I've done also in the chat, you'll see there are links there if you are looking for additional information about University of Phoenix. How does it apply? For instance, if you have transcripts and maybe you've been to college, it's been over 20 years ago, that's fine. You can talk to enrollment advisor, and they could tell you a little bit. They could grab your transcripts. We could do evaluation. Those are things that we don't even charge for, which you may not know. But we could do those evaluations if you have a copy and just tell you up front, this is what you're looking at. This is how much time you have. Those are things that will not cost you anything, but a little time to talk to someone and to find out how this will actually impact you and what it looks like for your current situation. So that way you know which direction you need to go and what you need to do. Along with the links in the chat, I also have a QR code that you see here that you could also request more information. Other things that are in the chat as well, you'll see there are links, more information about our response to COVID-19 and what we're doing right now, so you can keep up to date with what University of Phoenix is doing and how we're actually pivoting as well, through it all. Because I'm here in Atlanta, we also have our Atlanta Facebook, that we're pretty active on. We have an Atlanta Facebook group for the University of Phoenix, and also one of the things I didn't get a chance to mention is that we're actually in the community and we're doing a lot of community events that are open for the community, as well as our students and alumni. One of the community events that we have done in the past, we've taken different industries and brought industry leaders in, and we allow them to come in and talk to people. So we've done one in HR, we've done one in IT, and in really great turnouts. And we've gotten organizations throughout the Atlanta area to come in, and leaders to really talk to you about, these are your options, this is where everything's headed. So we're going to continue to do those. We also offer other career services workshops, for instance, like how do you do a LinkedIn? We do resume writing, building your brand. So we have a lot of options that are available and open to the community, because we're right here in Atlanta and we are always looking to give back. But as we go through that, I just wanted to pause and see what questions did you have so far for me?
Thank you, for Linda.
Thank you, Linda.
I had a few questions get emailed to me. We can start with those and then see if anyone has any additional questions. Again, Laura Stewart with the Forsyth County Chamber of Commerce, and we're so grateful to Verlinda for sharing this info with us today. And Verlinda, I'm going to have you keep your contact information up there while we go through some of these questions. So one question, it was referencing the prior learning assessment that you mentioned during your presentation, which I'm sure many, many folks would find very helpful. But I think that really the question can be generalized even bigger than that. This question was regarding kind of who to contact, how to get started in having one of those. But I think, again, that's kind of a bigger question when people who, again, maybe have not delved into education at an adult level, maybe ever, maybe in, as we discussed, many, many years, maybe a decade. Where do they even begin? Who can they call? Where can they get started at the University of Phoenix? Who do they need to ask for when they call your main number?
So what happens is in the chat, when you open up and click on the chat feature here, just where you answer the questions, if you scroll up, you'll see a link that just says request more information. When you click on that, the reason why I recommend doing that is what will happen when you fill out your information, you will get an advisor assigned directly for you. So that will be your go-to contact person. That person will be able to talk to you about your current situation, especially with prior learning assessment. They'll be able to help you set that up based off the program you want to go into, what you're looking to do. They'll be able to get your, if you do have previous transcripts, they'll be able to help you with getting your previous transcripts. One of the things that we do with a lot of students as you move forward in our process and you go through our free application process, what will happen is that we will order your transcripts for you. In most cases, we pay for them as long as the school allows us to, and you give us authorization. Once we pull in those transcripts and that official evaluation has begun, then yes, our prior learning assessment department, you'll submit your paperwork. And you could do it one of two ways. I know I get a lot of times, a lot of people ask me, well, I don't have a certificate. I don't have documentation showing that I completed this training for whatever reason. Well, you could do one of two ways. So either you could go to your HR department and get a list of trainings that you completed, or we also allow you to write essays. So it's not just a one-stop shop. So you have two different ways where your enrollment advisor will be able to talk to you about them. If you already have, for instance, maybe you were a paramedic at one point in time or a firefighter, and you have certifications underneath your belt, same thing. You will provide those to us. Those are documentations that, those are documents that we can use and also put towards an undergraduate degree if you have room for it. And the reason why I say if you have room for it is I go back to, we look at your transcripts first because we want to know what you've already paid for. And then after we looked at those, then we take a look at anything that you have done through prior learning, your experience learning. And then we go from there. But yes, it starts with the enrollment advisor first, and they go through the process with you to make sure that you are maximizing the time that you have with us. We want to minimize that time so you're not taking extra classes, especially, to give you an example, I had a student who basically they were able to provide documentation. They worked at a law office at one point in time, and because they worked there, they did a lot of training that they just had to do. And because they had to do that training, they submitted all of the training and they were able to waive out of English. So just to give you an example, those are the type of things that we're doing to help you save time because you have experience. You know how to write, or you know math, or maybe you've done stuff before. You led a communications training. So yes, that's where you would begin. You'll begin with the enrollment advisor.
That's great, Verlinda. I think
that
has so many applications for all sorts of different people that might be pursuing some element. So another question, and it is a fun question, but I'm sure people also will want to know the answer to this. So you mentioned the breaks between courses. There was a question, how long of a break would be permissible?
Okay, you know what? That's actually a good question, and believe it or not, a lot of students ask that. So normally it's up to 6 months. So that's usually, that's usually enough time for a student to come back and say, okay. So they'll ask for official break between classes, and that's usually the max at between a class that you usually could take as well. So it's usually up to 6 months.
Okay.
Okay, so
Only
yeah,
person
you're the only person asking that question.
Yeah. Yep. See, not alone. It's actually a pretty popular question. So yeah.
And you talked certainly about the options of programs at the University of Phoenix, but maybe like you mentioned one, a data analysis program, and how, if you and I had been on this webinar a year ago, maybe even a couple of months ago, the answer may have been different. But what are the most popular programs right now at the University of Phoenix? Which ones are getting the most applicants for?
So we have a lot of our programs are actually pretty popular. And mostly because you have to think about most of our degree programs are programs where you are not technically required. For instance, we do offer nursing, but we only offer nursing after you have become an RN. So a lot of our programs are things that you can do online. So of course, like our nursing, we get a lot of nurses that come in that are looking for their bachelor's degree or their master's degrees because they're tired of taking the same schedule that they've been that they had, and they're looking to go change locations or employers for a better pay or better benefits. So we get a lot of healthcare programs. Of course, our IT programs are pretty popular. Our business programs are very, very popular. We do a lot of things in criminal justice as well, and in security. So, those are just to name a few. We have a lot of education programs as well, where we do have a lot of educators to come in. So, sorry. So so we have a lot of several different programs that are very popular, and I always tell people. Then we also offer other programs that people may not have thought about. We actually have an environmental program. We offer English, so we offer other programs too. So it's truly really based off of your interest and what you're looking to do, and honestly, what your goals are.
Okay, and this
Okay, and
mentioned
this
early, Berlinda, but there was a question. Can you share again where the Atlanta campus is located?
Yes. So we're right off of Georgia 400. We're at 859 Mount Vernon Highway. It's in Atlanta, Georgia, and the zip code is 30328. So we're right on the Sandy Springs Atlanta border, you should say, but we're right off of Georgia 400. So yes, and our campus is there. Traditionally, before COVID, you were able to come up to the campus, use the computers. We call it a student resource center. So students came, they had access to computers until 10 p.m. at night. So even if you didn't have a computer at home, or we have a lot of students who had a lot of activity at home, and they would say, okay, I need quiet. So they would come into the campus and just come and, do their homework. Even they were online students, they had access to it. You could come and print for free as a student. We had meeting rooms. So if you ever wanted to meet with maybe classmates, or if you just wanted some, room to yourself and you just had your laptop and you want to jump on our Wi-Fi, you could do that as well. So yes, so that is available to students, and you have access to come up there, during our regular hours, once we go back to them. Right now, of course, during COVID, right now the campus hours, of course, have been closed. until we decide otherwise. Yes.
Okay, and I know we were kind of chatting about that right before we got started today, Verlinda, about what that looks like for you guys. I think it's questionable for all of us these days. So just give one more minute for any other questions to come in. Those were all that I had on my list. I will make mention that the COVID-19 webinar series that the University of Phoenix has put together, Verlinda had previously shared the link with me to those, and those webinars are up and accessible through the Chambers Together for FOCO webpage. So that is together, the number 4, foco.com. And those are up in our continuing education section for you to access and take a look at those. So we will move toward closing, but again, I want to thank everyone for joining us. This webinar, as well as all sorts of webinars, whether it's related to continuing education or other topics, are all available for free on the Chamber's website. That URL is up for you there right now. And they are being added daily because it is pretty easy for us to add virtual events. So check those out and join us for other sessions. Verlinda, I want to thank you so much for joining us and sharing your knowledge with our audience. And we appreciate the fact that we'll be able to continue to share this. We'll have this webinar recording up on that continuing education page on Together for FOCO as well as Verlinda's slide deck, so that you'll be able to access all the links that she mentioned. Again, thank you all for joining us. Verlinda, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll see you guys next time.